Known for superb handling and exhilarating performance, Porsche vehicles usually stand as benchmarks within their respective segments. The 911 is one of the world's best handling performance cars, and the Cayenne SUV has hardly any faults. But after driving the base model 2022 Porsche Macan, we didn't feel the same oomph, adrenaline, or emotion as with other Porsches. Granted, this was an entry-level Macan, but we still pined for more, especially when the example we tested carried a price tag north of $60,000. A word on this Macan. The Macan lineup consists of 4 different models: base Macan, T, S, and GTS. Our test vehicle was a base Macan powered by the 2.0-liter turbo 4 engine that makes 261 HP and 295 lb-ft of torque coupled to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. This is the same powertrain shared with the Macan T. But how base is base? This 2022 Porsche Macan came optioned with active suspension management, $1,360, Porsche Torque Vectoring Plus, $1,500, the Sport Chrono Package, $1,220, and other extra cost, safety and aesthetic add-ons. Its price rose from $56,250 to $63,270. For context, you can basically purchase a loaded 2022 Genesis GV70 with a V6 engine for the same price. Based on our experiences with Motor Trend's long-term GV70, we're confident you'll be more impressed with the Korean SUV. On the road. We previously described the Macan T as a relatively boring Porsche, and our verdict stands after spending more than a week driving the base Macan with the same engine as the T. The Turbo 4 lacks the power and engagement Porsches are known for, and as a result it makes this model feel like a tame family SUV. Step on the throttle, and the response is mild and laggy. The verve we feel in other Porsches is absent in the base Macan. The base Macan also shares its powertrain with the 2022 Audi Q5, and while we described the Ingolstadt model as lively, we also noted delayed responses from the transmission. What's more, the Audi starts just north of $44,000 and is only 0.1 seconds slower than the Macan on our 0-60 mph and quarter-mile tests. With that price tag, it's easier to justify the Q5's dynamics. Fortunately, the rest of the 2020 Porsche Macan feels great. On twisty roads in Malibu, California, the Macan drove nicely into the corners while delivering superb body control when Sport Plus mode was active. The ride was also comfortable and controlled on city streets. The suspension delivered a mix of sportiness and comfort depending on what kind of experience we desired. This was all due mostly to Porsche's active suspension management system, which adjusts the dampers depending on road conditions and driving style. Toggle between normal and sport modes, and the suspension stiffens when you opt for a more dynamic drive. The steering also feels like it does in other Porsches, delivering precision and massive amounts of feedback, depending on the drive mode. Overall, while the ride and handling are representative of other Porsches, the base Macan's weak engine delivers a subpar experience. Considering where the Macan sits in the segment today, this version doesn't stand out as it might have a few years ago. Inside the interior. Usually when you get in a $60,000 SUV, you expect to find leather seats. We were surprised to discover the base Macan came with cloth upholstery. To be fair, the cloth felt and looked premium, but for $63,000, automakers across the segment deliver Alcantara or nice leather. The technology also let us down some. We appreciated the large infotainment screen and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, but we couldn't figure out how to use the full screen when CarPlay was active. Instead, the display defaulted to a split layout, making the CarPlay portion of the screen too small for our liking. The rest of the interior was sharp, however. The 2022 Porsche Macan boasted premium materials on the door panels and center console, with soft plastics that live up to the luxury SUV standard. Interior room was okay, although the first row was spacious, Adults standing 6 feet tall or more may have some trouble with legroom. Is the 2022 Porsche Macan a good buy? During our time with the base Macan, I conducted an entirely unscientific Instagram poll where I asked people what they'd choose: a base Macan for $63,220 with a 295 HP 4-cylinder turbo engine, or a 2022 Genesis GV70 Sport Prestige with a 375 HP V6 and a $64,670 price tag. 58% said they'd go with the Macan. So, a lot of people prefer a badge over a better vehicle, but that said, you do genuinely still feel something special when you get into the Macan, despite its shortcomings. But after spending plenty of time driving the 4 and 6-cylinder GV70, we know the Genesis SUV is the new benchmark at this price point. Porsche might hold the number one spot in other segments, but the competition has caught up to this Macan. 2022 Porsche Macan specifications. Base price $56,250. Price as tested $63,270. Vehicle layout: front engine, AWD, 5-pass, 4-door SUV.